Did you know the team to score last has won the Super Bowl each of the last 13 years? If you're looking to enhance your big game betting experience, visit wt.buzz/SB57props for WagerTalk's annual party prop sheet, Ralph Michaels' historical prop betting result and betting tips from your favorite handicappers. And if you're looking to add some wagering entertainment for your gathering, download and print out Super Bowl party prop sheet, which features a number of easy to answer, easy to follow questions to keep everyone engaged from the coin toss to the final whistle. Follow WagerTalk on Twitter during the game as we tweet out the results as they happen. Visit wt.buzz/SB57props for all the details.
Live. We are live. It is Tuesday, February 7th. This is WagerTalk Today, and we are live every day, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, right here on WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, you can watch the replays 24/7 at your convenience. You can also watch it on the go with the mobile WagerTalk mobile TV app for your favorite devices. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez this week. Don't you worry, it's a Prez-free zone. He is trying to sneak in to Media Row at the Super Bowl as we speak. And that's my co-host, Teddy Covers, who will be with me each and every day this week here on WagerTalk Today. And Teddy said it yesterday. This is a great week to be watching because each and every day we're going to be talking Super Bowl props, along with the daily sports as well, basketball, hockey, anything else that's going on. And we have got a nice little show here on Tuesday. Who are we looking with?
We're in a Prez-free zone, so I'm smiling the whole show, man. We're going to open up Dwayne Bryant's the $2 Tuesday handicapper today. He's going to talk about the Knicks and the Magic in NBA action. He's going to talk some college hoops. North Carolina, Wake Forest, ESPN tonight, an ACC showdown. We'll get his thoughts on those two games tonight. A little bit of promo for his $2 Tuesday selection. And what bettors learned today? I'm going to talk about the Kyrie Irving trade to Dallas. That should be an interesting discussion. Rob Veno is going to join us next. He's going to break down one in the NBA, the Suns and the Nets, and he's going to talk a Super Bowl prop. We're going to get Jerick McKinnon and what he's going to do with his receiving yards. I've got a Super Bowl prop in my big game breakdown. I'm going to talk about the total number of Eagles to have a rushing attempt. And then, of course, Dave Sharapan, veteran odds maker, veteran Vegas presence. He's going to give us a skinny on what's going on here in Sin City on Super Bowl week. So it is a loaded Tuesday edition. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, really looking forward to talking with you and also Rob Veno about that Kyrie Irving situation. And by the way, Rob will be on the NBA show with Tony Finn and Hakeem Ski Prophet at 4:15 Eastern today for more NBA talk. Don't forget the college basketball show is at 2 o'clock Eastern. I'll actually be on that today with Marco and Brian Leonard and Joe Ranieri. So lots of basketball talk on WagerTalk TV Monday through Friday this week. And, of course, Super Bowl talk as well on a daily basis here. And let's bring in Dwayne Bryant, who will be talking some basketball here at the top of the show. And as Teddy mentioned, Dwayne, you're the $2 capper at WagerTalk.com, and it's a pretty good time to have a college basketball 5%er because you're number one in college hoops over the past couple months, going all the way back to December 1st. Big $2 best bets. I recommend people go and get that at WagerTalk.com. And Dwayne, we're going to get to some college hoops in a moment, but I actually want to get a little NBA from you. We've done the NBA show together. We've done the college basketball show together. I know you love hoops. Give me something we can look at tonight in the NBA. College. Yeah, college. And,
college
yeah, you're not allowed on, right?
Make sure you send my regards.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't caught the recent episodes, Dwayne and Marco have had a tendency to be on opposite sides of almost every game discussed. And as Joe Ranieri often does, he's run with it, and it's become a thing. You know, hopefully you'll get a photo like Adam Trigger and Brian Power have gotten holding hands with hearts around it. But, yeah, I'll be on with Marco and Brian Leonard, so I'll give them your best.
So in the NBA today, I'm looking at this New York-Orlando game, and I love contrarian plays, especially in pick-the-winner situations like this one. And last I checked, the overwhelming majority is on the Knicks in this game. And, I mean, why wouldn't you be? I mean, the Knicks are 3 games above 500 on the season. The Magic are 10 games under 500 on the season. The Knicks are 15-11 on the road, which is better than Orlando's 13-13 record at home. And then you look, the Knicks just beat the 76ers by double digits, and they already beat Orlando this season by double digits. You know, so having said all that, you're telling me that I can get the Knicks here where they basically just have to win the game. Well, I mean, hell, sign me up right now. I mean, but honestly, it's almost never that easy. The Knicks won that Sixers game without guard RJ Barrett and his 20.2 points per game. And that's actually nothing new in the NBA. I mean, we often see teams step up in their first game without a key player, but then they come back down to earth in that next game. And I'm expecting a similar outcome here if Barrett sits this one out. And that win over the Sixers wasn't just a win in their first game without a key player. It was a win against a top division rival in their first game without a key player. And Barrett he's listed as having an illness, so it's unclear, at least last I checked, if he'll be back tonight. If he is, this line will probably tick up a hair, in which case I'll like Orlando even more because it'll make them even more of a contrarian play. Interesting to note, too, that Orlando's 5-2 straight up this season at home when they're seeking revenge for a same season loss, including 4 straight wins in this spot. So I'll take a shot on Orlando at home here tonight.
So the Orlando Magic have been probably my single favorite team in the NBA for the better part of the last 2 months. All they've done is make me money, and no one's paid any attention to them at all. They started 5-20, and right now they're 22-32. That makes them 17-12 straight up their last 29 games. And against the spread, I think they're like 20-7 in those ball games. So they've been a real consistent moneymaker for the better part of the last 2 months. Are the markets starting to catch up with Orlando? Because I was hoping to catch more than a point with the Magic on their home floor tonight. And this line, I power rated Orlando really high and consistently, and they've made me money doing so. I'm seeing signs the markets are catching up with this team. Are you seeing that as well?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I do believe that you're seeing the markets finally catching up with this team. I mean, it was bound to happen. I mean, we're not going to go the whole season and see great value on this team. Eventually, the odds makers are going to catch up to what's going on. Again, I love the spot in this game, though, and really, even without even looking at the game itself, just looking at the line and looking at where everybody's betting in this game just makes me like Orlando even more tonight.
Yeah, these teams actually did play once earlier this season, way back at the start of the season on October 24th. Knicks were a 7.5 point home favorite for what it's worth. So a little bit of an adjustment, but it would be pretty much in line with Orlando at home now in the rematch. Dwayne, 5% college basketball best bet tonight for just $2. Normally that play would be $35 at WagerTalk.com, but Dwayne is the $2 capper, which means you get the number 1 ranked college basketball handicapper for the past 2+ months for just $2 tonight. So check that out right now on his page. And to give you a little taste of college hoops, let's look at the big ESPN matchup at 7 Eastern tonight in the ACC between North Carolina and Wake Forest. Dwayne, pretty much a pick-em price here. Who do you think wins this one?
And I'm leaning Wake Forest here at home. I love pick-the-winner games where I feel the situation clearly favors one side, and I think we have that here. We have North Carolina coming off its second straight loss, and it was on the road at their arch rival Duke. So, a lot of people are going to expect the bounce back here, but I'm not so sure about that. Remember, this is a Tar Heels team that lost 4 straight earlier this season, so a third straight loss here certainly is not out of the question. And in college hoops, losing to your arch rival often takes an extra game to get over. So I think Wake Forest is catching North Carolina at a pretty good time. Also, North Carolina has already defeated Wake Forest this season. And, they have conference leading Clemson on deck. So I think that just makes the situation even tougher on North Carolina here. And then I look at what has North Carolina done on the conference road. They're 1-4 straight up on the conference road against teams with a winning record. And even going back to last season, North Carolina is just 1-5 straight up on the conference road when the line's between the threes. And that includes a 22-point loss here at Wake Forest. So let's look at the Deacons. They're off a conference road win at Notre Dame. They shot 52.7% from the field in that game. Should be noted that they are 2-0 straight up and against the spread this season in conference home games when they're off a win where they shot better than 50% from the field. And I know it's 2 games, it's a small sample size, but I'm not concerned with sample size in this instance. I'm more interested in current season recent data. That's what I'm looking at there. And their most recent win in that scenario was a 10-point win over conference leading Clemson. And that win over Clemson was actually a revenge game also for an earlier 20-point loss at Clemson in December. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Deacons will be ready to get some revenge tonight because they do have a 9-point road loss in Chapel Hill last month that they'll be looking to avenge tonight. As far as Wake Forest looking ahead, that's not going to happen. They've got Georgia Tech on deck, and they're the last place team in the conference, so no look ahead for them. Bottom line for me is the situation clearly favors Wake Forest, and that's before I even factor in the revenge motivation. I'm expecting a little bit of a lackluster effort from NC off that loss to Duke. So I'll take a shot with Wake Forest to get it done at home tonight.
So I have a similar follow-up here than I did with Orlando and the Knicks, because this is two teams that have had dramatically different point spread results this year. It's February. And North Carolina has covered a grand total of 7 point spreads all year. I mean, this team has burned everyone's money. There's no betting bandwagon for the Tar Heels. Meanwhile, Wake Forest has been a money winner in just about every role. They've been money winners in the short price range, money winners at big favorites, money winners at home, money winners on the road. They've got a significant betting bandwagon. Does that concern you here that North Carolina just isn't getting that that the value at this stage of the season lies with the Tar Heels as opposed to the Demon Deacons? Or is this just, look, North Carolina is not that good this year, and that's why they're not covering numbers. Let's keep fading them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's more of the latter. I just don't think they're as good as everybody's used to seeing that North Carolina name, and they're just not as good a team as they once were. Again, the situation just screams Wake Forest to me. It's a pick the winner situation. Wake Forest at home, ESPN game. I got to think that they're going to get it done, one more time here at home. And, for North Carolina, win a conference road game against somebody of, other than Louisville. I mean, come on.
It's interesting, guys. I've talked about this a few times, but, obviously North Carolina making the finals last year as an 8 seed really could have won that game against Kansas and had the win basically and lost a close one. They were the number one team preseason, and obviously, as Teddy said, a huge point spread flop this year, and that's because they vastly underachieved. But if you look at them right now, in the overall rankings, say just like use Ken Palm, I know that's a popular one, where they've been priced, recently is right around that 30 range. In fact, I'll pull it up right now. They're 36, so they've fallen a little bit. I think they were like 31st last week, but that would be like a 9 seed. So they're basically almost where they were last year when they were an 8 seed. So it'll be interesting to see if they do get that run here in the second half of the season, because obviously there's still some talent there at UNC. Dwayne, great talking to you. Good luck tonight with your $2 best bet. Once again, that's normally $35. It's only $2. Strong 5% play, number one in college hoops the last 2 months. Tell everybody what else you got going on at WagerTalk.com this week and a little bit more about college hoops.
Really, that's the only big play I've got today. I mean, I do have another smaller play in college hoops. It's kind of correlated with the 5% play. I haven't put anything out in NBA yet. I'm going to dig into that after the show. Very good chance that Orlando does make my card, though. NFL, I haven't done anything with the Super Bowl yet. I'm still poring over props and trying to narrow down, because I'm a lower volume guy. I'm trying to narrow down the props that I like for the big games, so I should have something posted in the next day or two for that. College hoops, hey, my advice is, and I know it's a 5% play, it's a big play today. And if you're going to invest in the longest term package you can afford to invest in. Diversity is the key to being a successful investor in any market, and it is especially true in the sports betting market. So get on board for the long term. Don't put all your apples in one basket, so to speak. That's the best advice I can give. Thank you in advance to everybody that does get on board with me on the 5% play tonight. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, best of luck, Dwayne. Once again, Dwayne Bryant, $2 Tuesday. You get a strong 5% best bet for just $2. But like you said, Teddy, I mean, if you're serious about winning, you don't jump on board and play just a 5%er. This is one of many strong plays. And Dwayne, of course, has been number one in college hoops for the past 2 months combined. So it shows the power of getting more than just one single play. But I know there's a lot of big game hunters out there. It is a good opportunity to get a strong play tonight for $2 at WagerTalk.com. All right, talked a little college, talked a little pro. We're going to have Rob Veno in a moment here to talk some more hoops and NFL Super Bowl props. But, Teddy, obviously, trade deadline is looming. I believe it's Thursday, a couple of days away. A big move already. Kyrie came out really recently, within the last week, said he didn't want to play there anymore. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere. Really interesting to get your take on this. Dallas selling their soul in the short term, I guess, to try to win something this year with Luka. I mean, I guess they could do it. What are your thoughts on this whole Kyrie situation?
So my first gut reaction, I think, was like everybody's gut reaction, which is, what the hell is Dallas doing? All right. Do you really want to mortgage your future now? And they're trading away draft picks for later in the decade to bring in a 30-year-old guy who's ball-centric and who has been forced his way out of 3 different places already in his career. And you're like, what on earth is Dallas doing? Then you start to think about it a little bit. Because look, they're not idiots. Mark Cuban's not an idiot. Jason Kidd's not an idiot. What are they thinking about? Well, the West is wide open this year. I mean, it really is wide open. Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Clippers, T-Wolves, Pelicans. Those are the top teams in the West. None of them even been to the finals. Ever. Literally, none of them. Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Clippers, T-Wolves, Pelicans. Not one of them has been to an NBA Finals, let alone win an NBA Final. You have the big boys. You have the Lakers and the Suns and the Warriors. They're all mediocre this year. They really are. The West is wide open. So it makes sense to try to make an aggressive move. Now, we talk about Kyrie Irving. All right. Irving is certainly, he's 30 years old. He's had a lot of issues throughout the course of his career in terms of being happy in his scenario. Listen to these, but that being said, he's played for championship contenders everywhere he's been: Cavs, Celtics, Nets. He's averaged, I don't care what his averages are, but Jason Kidd, quote, he's all about basketball. He wants to win and he wants to be coached, and this is a great opportunity for me to have someone like this to help. Remember, Luka averages, 33 points. He ranks top 10 in assists. But Dallas has been mediocre this year. They're 29 and 26. With Luka on the floor, they're averaging 187 points per 100 possessions, best in the league. When he's not on the floor, they've been at the bottom of the NBA. Kyrie in the mix can change that. So my initial reaction was really negative. Listen to what the Mavs reserve forward, Theo Pinson, said. Quote, pick your poison. It's one of those things, I don't know what you do. Personally, I really don't. You can trap Luka all you want now. We'll swing it to another killer. It's going to be fun to watch. Gut reaction was, this is stupid. The more I think about it, the more I kind of like it for Dallas. Take a chance. Take a shot. Make a move. Mavericks did that. That could make them liver in an open Western Conference come May and June. So there's my take on Kyrie. First reaction, what are they, idiots? What do you think about it? Maybe they found something. Steve?
Yeah, no, I think that was everyone's first reaction. It was mine when I heard the news yesterday. It was like, what's going to happen here, right? Can we get a bet on that? I guess the only question is the over-under when it happens. He's going to have problems. And he's a very unique individual ever since he's been at Duke, right? He's a character. And it's going to happen. So, I mean, the analogy I would use is kind of like in baseball, right? Your trade deadline, you're the Yankees or a contender. You're getting a 37-year-old pitcher that maybe has 1 year left in his arm and you're giving him a payday. You got like one season left with Kyrie probably before there's a problem. But yeah, with Luka maybe being as good as anyone in the league, I think they do have a shot to go further maybe than I realized as well. And I want to bring in Rob Veno because Rob obviously studies the NBA as close as any of us. And Rob, we'll dig right into it actually. It would not only get your thoughts on Dallas, but let's look at the other side of the coin, Teddy, something we haven't talked about yet, the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, this is a team that had a lot of talent last year, underachieved, had injuries. Durant's been out for a few weeks now. I thought it was interesting that Kyrie all of a sudden wants to leave when Durant's not there anymore. It's just everything about it's strange. And so, Rob, first, let me get your thoughts on Dallas and then the Nets as well, including their game tonight.
Well, good afternoon, guys, and good morning to you, Teddy. The Dallas situation, guys, I feel like you want to do what Milwaukee does, right? They surround Giannis with a whole batch of three-point shooters. And what we saw last night out of Dallas was 15 three-pointers made. And if Josh Green and Jaden Hardy and all these guys are going to make threes, then, the way Luka and Kyrie penetrate the offense could be unstoppable. But I still think they're not done. I would say that there's still some rim protection to be addressed here. I don't know what Mark Cuban can pull off before the trade deadline, but they need at least a center that can catch a lob and dunk, that can block a shot, that can grab 10 rebounds. They need that. Dwight Powell's not that guy. So they're probably closer, but not as close as they should be. For the Nets, the whole thing lies in Kevin Durant's lap, right? How good they can be depends on how committed he is. It's been said time and time again over the last 24, 36 hours, but I agree with it. What KD wants to do is how the Nets will go, and we'll see. I mean, they tried to get rid of him in the summer and found out it's not easy to get a buyer for Kevin Durant when you want 7 first-round draft picks. So we'll see how that situation goes, but I think Dallas might have gotten themselves a step closer. And again, although it's not as public as some of the others, don't discount the Luka influence behind closed doors to having this made. There were a lot of rumors that he was unhappy. And all's real good when you're young and you're just playing hoop. But once you get into the league a little bit and you want to win championships and you look around you and see, I don't have the core group to do so, you make a little noise. Mark Cuban spends a little money. Here we go. Let's see if they re-sign Kyrie and how long of a contract they re-sign him to.
So what are your thoughts tonight on this Suns and Nets matchup, Rob? I mean, obviously the other side of this, as we said, is what happens to the Nets now without Kyrie, without Durant in the short term. Suns are a team, Suns were really the favorite probably the last few years to win the West, and now Dallas, and Suns have had injuries as well, Booker being out. How are you attacking this one tonight?
Yeah, he'll be on a minutes limit tonight. It'll be his first night back. Nobody knows how to gauge that, right, Steve? I mean, you and Teddy both follow the NBA real close. Generally speaking, this year, if a star player comes back in his first game and, you jump on that team, you wind up ripping up your ticket, right? I mean, the NBA's been a crazy, crazy year where star players and their presence on the floor is concerned. But here, Booker will be back. Theoretically, it should help. Will he be rusty? Will it wreck cohesion? I don't necessarily think it's going to be that much of a deterrent. I would look more towards reasons to fade the Brooklyn Nets. I do like Phoenix here, but the Nets extremely shorthanded last night. Another huge effort against a really good team. But now it's the second of back-to-back. Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, neither are expected to play here, so they will go with the same group other than Ben Simmons, who will be present tonight. I don't know what he brings to the table anymore, so I don't know how to even handicap him. The Nets group played some hard minutes last night. Nick Claxton, 35-41. Royce O'Neal, 35+. Cam Thomas, 38+. Edmund Sumner, 32+. The bench production was horrendous. You got 6 guys on that bench last night, guys. They combined to play 70 minutes and 4 seconds, and they scored 10 points. Other than TJ Warren, they went 1 for 13 from the field. So I don't know how much you're going to get out of your bench. Other side of that coin is a well-rested Phoenix team, 2 days off. And Cam Thomas, by success, has made himself a focal point of the Phoenix defense tonight. You rush out there with 44 and 47, and you got people's attention. And Phoenix just happens to have the guy that they can assign to shut down a wing, and that's Mikal Bridges, one of the best defenders in the league. So I think that'll happen here. This road trip for the Suns, who are gaining traction in the West, they're 2-0 right now on the 4-game trip. This is a winnable game, should get them to 3-0. They have a day off, and then they have Atlanta. They're just 1 game behind Dallas. They're tied with Dallas, 1 game behind the Clippers. For that coveted number 4 seed, everybody wants to get in the top 4 because you get to home floor at that point. So I think the game's become a little more meaningful now. I think the Suns are showing signs with 27 games left that it's go time for them. They're 8-2 straight up last 10, 8-2 against the spread last 10. Their last 5 victories have all been by 8 or more points. I think laying 5.5 isn't really scary. The one thing that will scare you every day you bet NBA from here to the trade deadline is that some deal gets made. After you've already placed your bet, and it kind of destroys your personnel. Phoenix was active going after Kyrie, so I think they're in the market. Hopefully for me, they don't do anything drastic today, but I'll take Phoenix minus 5.5.
So I kind of have a blanket rule, Rob, and that's that I never play on a team when their star comes back first game.
Right.
The chemistry is always off, especially a ball-centric star like Devin Booker. And now they're laying points on the road. I understand all the reasons to fade Brooklyn tonight. But do you worry about that first game back on the floor with the star player that the chemistry is not going to be there? I've seen it happen so many times in the league that it makes me very reluctant to lay with a team like Phoenix tonight.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Teddy. And especially this year, it's happened time and time again, seemingly more than ever. But the one team it didn't happen to, Phoenix. The first game, Chris Paul came back after his long layoff. All of a sudden, he's out there scoring double digits and having double-digit assists. And it was interesting to me because I thought, well, Chris Paul, he's generally known to absolutely change the tempo of an offense, right? Devin Booker is not known to change things as directly as Chris Paul does because he's the primary ball handler. And they didn't skip a beat when he came back. In fact, this 8-2 straight up and against the spread is kind of correlated to Chris Paul's return along with Cam Johnson. So maybe this team has something others don't. And I know I'm picking and choosing here against something that's been strong, but I'll consider the situation where the Nets are concerned. I think that's kind of a harsh situation to be in. And the fact that Phoenix was able to manage the return of their star point guard and do very well with it.
Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. And by the way, Luka under contract until 2027. He signed the extension last year. So the trade deadline is 2 days away. This Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So as Rob said, today and tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesdays, when you got to be a little careful with these NBA teams as players could disappear. I like one article I saw. It said 65 players to watch during the NBA trade deadline. I mean, that's how many there are out there. It's pretty crazy. Rob, let's get to some Super Bowl talk here. We've talked some NBA, talked some college hoops. Once again, college tip-off 2 p.m. Eastern, NBA tip-off 4:15 Eastern. I'll be back at 2 for the college show. Rob will be on the NBA show at 4:15 Eastern. More NBA and college talk today on Tuesday. But let's get to Super Bowl 57. Give us a prop, Rob Veno, for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, real quick here. I know these segments are time constrained, and I always get hollered at here on this show, but I just want to throw something out there real quick, guys. And we don't have to discuss it now, but I found it interesting because I took a deep dive. Teddy, I know you've been involved in this prop because I've heard you talk about it before, maybe with me, maybe with others, about this prop where you score 3 times consecutively and how profitable it is. And this year they bumped it up to 4 times and added a huge amount of juice to it. So I went back and I said, how many times have teams scored 4 times in a row in Super Bowls? And guys, it's like there's a red line drawn in the sand here. If you go back the last 28 Super Bowls, let's split them in half, right? There's been 56. The last 28 Super Bowls, 4 consecutive scores have only occurred 5 times. But the previous 28, it occurred 13 times out of 28, near 50%, which is kind of crazy. So I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. Maybe the change in the game from defense wins championships to you can't score 4 times in a row before another high-flying offense gets theirs. But it is interesting that only 5 times in the last 28 years it's happened. It happened 13 times.
I have a theory.
Prior to that. I will I'll get to my prop here.
I have a theory.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So the theory, if you remember, the Super Bowl era changed mid-90s. There were so many blowouts. There was blowout, all through the 80s, all through the early 90s. There were blowouts in the 70s. There were blowouts in the 60s. And with all those blowouts, 4 more scores in a row equals blowout. In the era of blowout Super Bowls, almost half of them had 4 or more scores. We haven't seen a lot of blowouts over the last, since I've been in Vegas. There's a handful, and that's where you get the 4 or more scores. But if you expect a competitive game, and so many of these Super Bowls in recent years have been priced as competitive games, it's not like the 90s or the 80s where the teams were 14-point favorites in the Super Bowl, 17-point favorites, 22-point favorites in the Super Bowl. We're not seeing that anymore. And that's why we haven't seen the 4 or more scores cash at the same clip as they did earlier on in Super Bowl history, in my opinion. What's your take?
Yeah, Teddy, real quick. I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah, Rob, it was just the blowout factor. I mean, that's exactly what it was. When you have teams that are double-digit favorites, they're more likely to score several times. By the way, viewers, real quick, we do have the Super Bowl results for the last 13 years. Ralph Michaels put together a great prop results sheet. I'm using it right now. It's only happened 3 of the last 7 games, but it's still happened 8 of the last 13 that a team has scored 3 straight unanswered scores. And once again, that is free to download at WagerTalk.com on Ralph's page, Ralph Michaels. Yeah, Rob, that's interesting to bring up, though. I appreciate that you brought that up because that's a prop I always look at. What's an individual player prop you're looking at also?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon, guys, running back for the Chiefs, over 2.5 receptions here. Some fundamental reasons and then some sheer mathematics here. But, teams have generally played Kansas City in an umbrella style, forcing, Patrick Mahomes to be patient, go down the field. You see a lot more games played by the Chiefs this year where they don't have a bunch of possessions. They don't have a bunch of big play scores, but they have time-consuming, longer drives. But the Eagles aren't really that team. And I don't know that they'll change. The Eagles are way more aggressive. They're way more into putting press coverage up there. They're way more into depending upon their pass rush. And by the way, guys, I don't know the last time we've seen a team with as dominant a pass rush and as shut down a set of corners as Philadelphia has. When you have that hand and glove combination, pass rush plus two guys that can shut down on the corners, it's pretty tough to go against. But the weak spot for the Eagles is the middle. I think with their pressure, it opens up the opportunity for more quick throws. Let's remember that Andy Reid is a guy who generally likes to fight off defensive pressure with screen passes and the horizontal game, which is right where Jerick McKinnon fits in. I think there's a potential higher snap count for McKinnon than last week. Last week, when Patrick Mahomes was injured, you saw a lot more Isaiah Pacheco running game, right? This week with his ankle 2 weeks healthier, I think you'll get back to seeing what we saw at the beginning of the year where McKinnon was the higher snap count back. There's going to be a lot of attention paid to Travis Kelce here by your strong safety, by your linebackers, guys who generally cover backs who leak out of the backfield. So that leaves McKinnon in good situations here. Also feel like with Mahomes a little bit healthier, he stretches the defense deeper, leaves some underneath stuff open. All these things are good ingredients for McKinnon to get pass catches. Sheer mathematics, the line on Patrick Mahomes' pass attempts is 39.5. So I went back. How many games this year did Patrick Mahomes throw the ball 39 or 40 times or better than 40 times? Well, it happened 8 times, including last week. 6 of those times, Jerick McKinnon went over 2.5 receptions. Stands to reason. There's more pass attempts. There's more opportunity. McKinnon last week, as I mentioned, in a 40-plus pass attempt game, wasn't used very much because of the health situation of Mahomes. But he is the better pass protector. He'll be in more here. I think that when you look at the season totals, guys, 535 snaps for McKinnon, 355 for Pacheco. That stands to reason in this type of game that McKinnon will see the ball more. He'll see the field more. I was asked last night in conversation about this prop, do you worry at all about Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back in this game to maybe eat away at that reception total? And I don't, but what I do think where Clyde Edwards-Helaire is concerned is that, if you already got in on Chief rushing, the rushing proposition over 4.5 different players to carry the football, the addition of Edwards-Helaire basically just won your bet. So that bet probably is affected here, but not this one. I'm going to take Jerick McKinnon over 2.5 receptions against a defense that'll be paying attention to a lot of other people aside from him.
So here's the question, Rob. In general, in Super Bowls, everything's tilted to overs. All right. We know the public wants to bet overs. We know every prop, once it comes up, generally the first money comes on the over. Don't we want to be looking at unders for some of this stuff? Isn't the value with unders on Super Bowl Sunday? Or is it just player-by-player basis and McKinnon is a clear over choice for you?
Yeah, with me, Teddy, I think I try to tie the two up. Props, let's just say this. Other than the Super Bowl, football props are not something that I dive deep into on a weekly basis. But over the years, because of what we have with the Super Bowl, I do dive in where props are concerned. I'm trying to tie together, because I'm a fundamental handicapper first, the matchup with the mathematics. It's easy to say, oh, this guy's going under the total 9 of the last 10 games. This guy's going over his total 8 of the last 11 or whatever. That stuff's all good, but it's got to apply to matchup. I got caught in that trap last week. I had Isaiah Pacheco over the rushing yards, and I should have known better because I kind of one-side handicapped that thing, thinking he's done it 6 of 8 times. He'll do it again. Didn't happen because the style, the matchup. So here I think you've got to tie together with these two. I think the math adds up. I think the fundamental matchup adds up. That's why I'm playing this one. And I think I do go after specific targets when it comes to player prop, totals, rushing, receiving, passing, those types of things. Marquez Valdez-Scantling might be a guy off of last week's game that you might look to play under this week. Who knows? But I do like this one over.
So I promised Dave Sharapan on the show today, and we have not heard from Sharapan this morning. He's in Arizona for the game. So my hunch is if he hasn't called in yet, he's not calling. And so, Rob, we're going to keep you a little bit longer, if that's okay with you, and talk a little Super Bowl here. I want to ask you one more follow on this about McKinnon in particular. Because here's a guy, and I know you mentioned it, but this guy has two receptions on 4 targets for 17 yards in 2 postseason games. Do you worry at all that he had 2 receptions in the season finale as well? So he's got 4 catches the last 3 games. Does it worry you at all that KC hasn't been targeting him as much in recent weeks, and Edward Solari's coming back this week?
And maybe it's me just dismissing things, Teddy, and making excuses for stuff. But when I go back and look at those games, obviously I excused the Cincinnati game away. I explained why. Figure that Mahomes was hurt. The running game had to play a bigger importance. Pacheco got more snaps. McKinnon wasn't really involved. The week before, they had kind of built a lead and were trying to run that game out, and Jacksonville started to come back. And sometimes when you get hooked in that type of situation, you go away from your game plan as well. Here, I just think Andy Reid is so game plan specific, or matchup specific, so to speak. And Philly's unlike a lot of these other teams that want to sit back and force Mahomes to just think and dunk. They're not going to do that. They're going to come after this guy. And against an aggressive defense, I've seen enough of Andy Reid, obviously 14 years in here in Philadelphia, and now with Kansas City, to know that he's going to utilize that screen pass game. The question is, who do the screen passes go to, right? Who do these dump offs, these circle patterns, these short crossers that backs run that he likes to throw, who do they go to? Because 5 of them went to Pacheco last week, or at least he caught 5. But the thought process here is it's because Pacheco was on the field more. And when you go back over the entire season, you just find that McKinnon was on the field for 200 more snaps than Pacheco was. And I think he gets back to that a little bit against this defense. So maybe my prop is matchup specific. But that's the way I looked at it. And hopefully it comes through and he gets his 3 catches. The other thing you can consider, Teddy, real quick is if in fact Kansas City is in chase mode in the 4th quarter, and not necessarily huge chase mode, but just they need a touchdown or they need 8 points or whatever. And Patrick Mahomes does take to throwing the football. And the Philly pass rush, a lot of dump offs, I think, would happen there too. You see a lot of garbage stuff. Folks who play fantasy football know all about that. So I'm going to go that way. And let me backtrack real quick here, real fast, guys. Back to what we were talking about with 4 consecutive scores in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The only 2 last night that I came up with that were close games. You guys were all talking about blowouts. Thank you to the Denver Broncos for providing 3 of those. Thank you to Buffalo for providing 2 of those. But the 2 close ones, San Francisco in 1982 or 81 beat Cincinnati 26-21, and there were 4 straight scores in that game. And one of the Pittsburgh-Dallas games went 21-17 with 4 consecutive scores, 3 field goals and a safety, back to the days of the steel curtain. So obviously blowouts do correlate, and a lot of these, I had little notes written next to the research that I did. Team scored first 4 times of the game, first 4 times of the game, first 4 times of the game. That happened a lot.
Yeah, and one thing that's we mentioned yesterday, Rob, is you also got to, New England was so prevalent in so many recent Super Bowls, Brady and Belichick, we had a known quantity there that you have to somewhat, I think, filter out those games as well to be careful, because the one I brought up, Marco brought up yesterday, I've used it quite often as well, was that second half is higher scoring, second half and overtime is higher scoring than first half. And, basically New England never scored in the first quarter. In fact, that was one of my favorite bets for years. I love seeing the Patriots get there, was under first quarter, under first half lower scoring. But it was basically New England. And it does make some sense that other teams will do it as well. Teams come out cautious. They don't want to make the first mistake. Philly, not quite as experienced as Kansas City. Andy Reid is a veteran coach. Rob, looking, by the way, in the live chat right now on the side, we posted the link to the Super Bowl prop result sheet from Ralph Michaels for the last 13 years. So whether you're watching this live right now or even on the replay, just go over to the chat section there on the side. You can click on that link. I'm looking at it right now. It really is a great resource. It goes back to Super Bowl 44. And it's interesting. If you look at the coin toss, every team has deferred the last 12 years. 13 years ago, New Orleans won and received, and that was Sean Payton. Megan Payton's own Sean Payton was aggressive in that game. And of course, they did an onside kick, if you recall, coming out in the second half. Teddy, I didn't think about it till now. I wonder if he already had that someone in the back of his mind is why he accepted the receive and did not defer like every team basically does. One other thing I want to point out to you real quick, we'll take a commercial break, get a big game breakdown, Rob, on the way out. But one stat here on the sheet, I'm looking at Ralph's sheet. It's won 13 straight years is the team that has scored last has won the game. Obviously, closer games like we've had in recent years once again would allow that to happen more often. And theoretically, we got a 1.5 point spread here. So this should be as tight as any Super Bowl. That one just seems too obvious. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, and especially with these two teams, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to basic logic class, you can make a real good case for that one, Steve. Super Bowls don't always work out logically. People who play those squares pools find that out when that 2-5 is getting paid off at the end because of missed 2-point conversions and safeties. But
more so recently,
logically, you can build a really, really good case for that happening here between these two teams, and you could build the case against 4 consecutive scores with these two offenses involved. I think the first half, when you were talking about playing under where New England's concerned, Philly's the exact opposite, right? They're the highest scoring first half team in the NFL this season. Their totals for the first half go 14-2 over at least 23.5 points in games where Jalen Hurts was involved. The game where he was hurt and the game where the Giants, game where he was hurt and the game where the Giants starters didn't play were 2 first half unders. But they're a different team than the Patriots for sure.
Veno. Great stuff, my friend. What do you have to promote over at WagerTalk.com for today and this week?
Yeah, let's go ahead and promote a little bit here, Teddy, because the 5% Super Bowl play is about to go up. I finished writing the analysis before I came on here. So there's already a 4% best bet up and available on the Super Bowl at WagerTalk.com, but you'll see the 5% up there today. I will be adding props to the package as the week goes on. Couple here, couple there. Usually I end up somewhere in the 8 to 10 category with props. So go ahead and visit WagerTalk.com. As Steve said, I'll be on the NBA Today or NBA Tip-Off Show here at Wager Talk on Wager Talk TV later this afternoon. And college basketball, guys, is the one thing that's absolutely gone wonderfully this year. 68% win percentage, 50 units of profit ahead this season. So college hoops has been good as well.
Rob Veno, and once again, he is back at 4:15 Eastern to talk NBA basketball with Ski Profit and Tony Finn. 3 of the originals, along with me and Teddy Covers from the original NBA Tip-Off Show almost 3 years ago, Teddy. It's pretty funny, the 3 of them and then the 2 of us. Boom! Must-see TV. All right, must-see TV in 30 seconds as well, as we're going to finish off the show with a big game breakdown from Teddy Covers. More Super Bowl talk. Teddy's going to look at a prop we have not talked about this week in 30 seconds.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. And I want to talk about what a free roll stands for in prop betting. A free roll in poker. All right, you guys both have a straight, but you've got the ace of diamonds and there's 3 diamonds on the board. So you're free rolling. You can split the pot or you can win the pot if that diamond comes. The other opponent can't beat you. You can only beat them. Total number of eagles with a rush attempt. 4. Over 1 is 160. It's been getting bet up. This is a free roll. 4 Eagles are going to get a carry in the Super Bowl. Gainwell, Sanders, Scott, and Hurts. All four of them should rush at least once. All right. They've rushed at least once in just about every game this season. Hurts is healthy enough to move. Scott's getting a couple of carries. He had 6, I think, last time out. And obviously, Gainwell and Sanders had plenty of carries. That's 4 guys that are really likely to get a carry. Worth minus 160, worth minus 180, worth even $2. Now, it's not likely there's going to be 5. Minshew had 2 kneel downs here in the playoffs. Kez Watkins gets an end around run once in a while. They do once in a while some funky stuff. So you have a chance at 5, but you're not likely to go under 4. So you bet the over 4 minus 160, minus 180. You'll get the 4. You're taking a free roll at the 5. You cash. If they get the 5, you cash your ticket. If you don't, you get a push. These are the type of bets we like on Super Bowl Sunday. And we've heard earlier about Kansas City as the over with the total number of players to get a rush attempt as well. I wouldn't argue with anyone who wants to play the combined number of players to get a rush attempt. Eagles/Chiefs over 8.5. To me, that's a bet worth looking at as well. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, Teddy, it reminds me of one of my favorite prop bets of all time. And I got to look up it's been like 20 plus years. I tell the story. I probably get it wrong now, but it was the Atlanta-Denver Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was a Denver-John Elway one. So that'd be the second one because they were favored to win.
Yeah.
And I liked Denver in the game. And I remember thinking, he's going to get a curtain call. And you touched upon something that made me remember that with Minshew is that when they kneel down, it counts as a rushing attempt. And Bubby Brister was the backup for Denver. And I forget exactly the prop I used. It was either total rushers to have an attempt or it was total quarterbacks that, something along that line. But my theory is that Bubby Brister would get a kneel down and Elway would get a curtain call. So that's something you got to think about with these rushing attempts. I don't know if they give Jalen Hurts or Mahomes, a curtain call at this time of year. But something else real quick on the quarterback props. Both quarterbacks still are not 100% healthy. And Henne and Minshew obviously have seen action. So shop around on the quarterback props. You might find some value there with pass attempts. Obviously, a trick play helps you there as well if someone throws an additional pass. So, players to have a lot of times you see 2.5 total players to have a pass attempt in the game. With any possible injury to either one of those guys, I think it's a little more likely than normal. Any thoughts on that one?
I wouldn't play. If you think that Nick Sirianni or Andy Reid wants anyone throwing a pass in this game except for their 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks, I think you're nuts. You can play that over. Not me. Not my money.
Yeah, and I haven't looked for it yet, but that's just some.
Yeah, I was like, 2.5. The under, 2.5 with juice to the under.
It's not enough plus money to get me on that. I'd have to have a big plus money price on the over. But I love the free roll concept. And hey, viewers, all week long, the live chat, and then the comments below after the show. Ask us questions about Super Bowl props. We read the comments and we reply back. We love the support. Thumbs up, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for instant alerts when all these shows go live on WagerTalk TV. Teddy, we'll do it again tomorrow. Take us home.
We sure will. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's Wager Talk Today, you guys know what to do. Take advantage of $2 Tuesday. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with your wagers.
Did you know the team to score last has won the Super Bowl each of the last 13 years? If you're looking to enhance your big game betting experience, visit wt.buzz/SB57props for WagerTalk's annual party prop sheet, Ralph Michaels' historical prop betting result and betting tips from your favorite handicappers. And if you're looking to add some wagering entertainment for your gathering, download and print out Super Bowl party prop sheet, which features a number of easy to answer, easy to follow questions to keep everyone engaged from the coin toss to the final whistle. Follow WagerTalk on Twitter during the game as we tweet out the results as they happen. Visit wt.buzz/SB57props for all the details.